My name is Raxus, and I want to start doing some tutorial videos. Some of you may have seen my channel before. I make video game gameplay videos and funny videos and all kinds of stuff like that. I vlog a little here and there, do some live action stuff. I edit a lot, do like montage edits and stuff for video games and all that, and friends of mine. And that's something I do mainly on the channel, but I want to start getting into maybe doing some tutorial videos and stuff because there's a lot of things that I always get asked about by friends of mine, by people on the internet, by people in the comments, asking me how to do certain things, whether it's how to do a certain thing in editing, program, how to do a certain thing in a certain game or something like that. I figured I'd make a video just going over some of programming basics so that everyone can refer to it. Even you guys can refer to it whenever you want. Pause the video, work at your own pace. And what we're going to be doing in this video is we're not going to be doing any programming in this video. I'm going to be talking about kind of what programming is and what you'll need to start programming, because a lot of people don't even know what they'll need. Where they don't even know where to begin. So what we're going to do, we're going to open up Firefox, and the first thing you're going to want to search up is Visual Studio Community 2013. You're going to search that up. This is Microsoft's IDE for programming. This is their version of it. This is their take on it. It supports C++, Python, HTML5, JavaScript, C#, Visual Basic, all kinds of stuff like that, and it has web support for ASP.NET, JavaScript, all that blah code for Unity, Apache, you have Android, Mac, Windows, and yeah, so it's a really comprehensive IDE, and the IDE is what makes it makes programming a little easier. It has things like, instead of writing raw code in like Notepad or something, using an IDE allows you to have tools at your disposal to help debug and look for mistakes and tell you if you're missing a bracket or something, or kind of give you autofills for things you might not know the exact name of. It can compile for you and make an actual executable file of the program that you made. It makes things a ton easier for a programmer, and you don't have to do as much work. Visual Studio Community 2013. I say Community because Community is the free version of Visual Studio. Now, I use Visual Studio Professional, like the paid version. I use Visual Studio in school. I had Visual Studio Professional on my old computer before it crashed, and now I'm using Visual Studio Community, and quite frankly, I really don't see much of a difference. All you got to do is make an account for Visual Studio Community, and you can use it as long as you want. So yeah, pretty cool. So you're going to do, I'll have a link in the description, all these. Now, Visual Studio does do Python. Python also is a open source programming language. Anyone can use it. It's not a paid for thing. You don't need to pay for any IDEs to use Python. But Python has its own IDE that is a lot more bare bones than Visual Studio Community. But it still has its own IDE, its own way of doing things, that if you don't like how it is in Visual Studio Community, or you don't want to use Visual Studio Community for it, you can use Python standalone, and I'll have a link in the description to that. You just download. The latest is 3.4.3, though. That's what I would recommend. Python is just another programming language. And then over here we have Notepad++, which is also a lot more bare bones than Visual Studio Community. But the thing about Notepad++ is it's really light. You can put it on a flash drive, no problem, and get coding anywhere you want, really, with not a lot of dead weight to lug around, and it doesn't cost that much in memory or anything, and it has such a wide variety of programming languages you can use that even Visual Studio or Python don't have. So it has a large library of languages and stuff like that, and it's also a pretty comprehensive IDE. It's nice, but it is a little harder to use in the sense that all the tools aren't there out of the box. You have to kind of like if you want a compiler for C++ or something to actually compile your program that you wrote in it into an exe that you can use, you have to like download a separate compiler for that separate language and stuff, and tailor it to Notepad++. So it's kind of the only downside about that, is that it's a little more intermediate in how it runs and all that. But I mean, you can still use it without downloading anything else to add on to it. You can use it still to write, maybe a rough draft of your code and then bring it on over to Visual Studio later and compile it there and all that. That's an option. So yeah, Notepad++, there's a download, really light. I like Notepad++ as well. Now you might be asking, what exactly is even computer programming? Now while all that's installing that I told you to install, I'll talk about programming a little bit and we'll do some theory about it. Essentially, and I have a link in the description here to this site, it kind of talks about very basically what some of these things mean and how coding works and all that, and you can read that at your leisure. But essentially, coding and what code does and how it works is that the code tells the computer what to do. Now the computer only understands binary code. That's the ones and zeros that you guys have probably seen in the movies or anything like that. Nobody wants to type out all those ones and zeros or understand what all those ones and zeros mean in order to program. So we made things to make that easier. Since we're humans, we don't quite understand ones and zeros as much as we do words and stuff like that. So we made programming languages to talk to the computer in terms that humans can understand, and it gets converted into a language that the computer can understand. It makes that a whole lot easier, so no, you don't have to code in ones and zeros or anything like that. But you can, learn how to read binary and stuff. There is a formula to it and all that, and you could get into that. But so here's a little example of Python code for a Hello World program. It's just telling it to print Hello World, so you'd run that program and it would just say Hello World, and that would be the program. So Python is just an example of one of those programming languages. But a programming language is a set of syntax rules that define how code should be written and formatted. There's a lot of different languages because different languages are made for and are better used for certain things. Some languages are better for web development, some are better for networking, some are better for solving ridiculous scientific problems and mathematics and stuff like that. So there's a bunch of these different languages to suit all these different needs that people have for computers and what they want computers to do. These different languages, though, they're not all the same, and jumping from language to language, you'll notice that there's a lot of different key words and formatting that these different languages use. For instance, print is one of those key words that Python uses, but C++ doesn't. C++ has couts. That's syntax. So print is a syntax of Python. Only Python does that with the print and all that. That's Python syntax. C++'s syntax is couts to display text in the console. So another thing is that C++, I'll show you over here. Actually, I'll show you C#. C# has brackets everywhere. You need to have your brackets properly formatted and everything like that, and that matters a lot. But indenting, that doesn't matter at all. That is not going to mess up my C# code at all, because indentations don't matter that much, but the brackets and all that do heavily matter, and your semicolons matter a ton. That's C#'s syntax. Now, Python, on the other hand, you can see a little code here. Indentations matter a ton, but Python doesn't have an emphasis on brackets and semicolons. It doesn't have any semicolons, and brackets and bracketing all your stuff doesn't matter that much. So I'll show you a Python program. Now, this Python program I opened up in Visual Studio. Now, as you can see, this Python program, there's no semicolons, there's no brackets or anything like that in the comparison of the C# code. Now, does that make Python easier because you don't have to memorize brackets and semicolons and all that? Absolutely not. Some of it is a matter of preference and what you like and what's easier for you. Some of it is just easier to do certain things. So it's just it comes down to a matter of preference and a matter of utility for the kind of thing that you're trying to do. I don't know if anyone will try to tell you that, you know, one language sucks over another one, or you shouldn't use one language to do another thing, unless you're using it for the complete wrong, for a completely incorrect usage that the language isn't even meant to do. There really is no right or wrong answer to what you should be coding in for something like a calculator, or you know, something like that. There's really no right or wrong answer. It just comes down to preference, what you're more comfortable with, and what you feel like coding in. It's good to not limit yourself to just one programming language, because that could kind of hurt you and get you really tunnel visioned, and then, you know, not every job that you would get or project that you'd work on would involve it. You know, if it doesn't involve that one language, you know, you're dead in the water. You have no idea how to do anything else because you haven't used any other languages. So I think it's important to dabble in all of the languages, or a lot of the main ones like JavaScript, Python, C++, and all that. To get a feel for everything, so that you get at least comfortable and kind of know the base syntax for all of them, so that you have the ability to jump from language to language comfortably, and you don't have to sweat it when somebody says, hey, code this thing and this thing you've never used, that's, you know, that I'm using, or something like that. So yeah, I would recommend, you know, playing with all the languages, seeing which ones you like. It's okay to have preferences, but don't just ostracize all other languages when you find one language that you enjoy. It's important to go and try all of them and use all of them regularly to keep them fresh. So I think I covered a lot here, guys. Sorry if the video ran a little long, but you know, there's a lot to cover, and I didn't want anyone to get really confused, because in the next video we're going to be moving into just doing some coding. We're just going to start making some programs, and it's going to be super fun. So yeah, I just wanted to get through all of just the explanations of why things are the way they are and how they work, just very basically. If you're still a little confused, though, you can go on the internet, go to the link, you know, read through that thing I linked, or go on the internet, peruse for yourself, and read up on a bunch of different stuff and educate yourself further. But yeah, so I just wanted to cover some stuff from me to you and what I thought about all of it, and just get through some of that theory and give you some of those links to those different programming IDEs and languages and all that, so that next video you'll have them all installed, and then we can get right cracking into the programming. So yeah, guys, if you have any suggestions or any questions, or you need help, or you want to see me do a certain thing for a tutorial, let me know in the comments down below. Message me, do whatever you gotta do to get your point across, and I'll see what I can do, and I'll try to help you out as much as I can. And yeah, guys, it's your boy Raxus signing out. Thank you so much for watching this video. I hope you guys enjoyed it. If you did, give me a like, or not, that's completely okay. I'm not going to push you into anything you don't want to do. But yeah, guys, I hope you have a great day. I'll catch you guys later.
And it doesn't even run past 30 frames. So, that's kind of bad.
You're kidding!
Oh,
He almost got me. He almost got me.
he did get you.